In this video, we're going to show you how to fix a hole in leather using our leather repair filler and our leather dye repair kit. Okay, we're just going to make a small little video here. As you can see, we have a leather backrest. It's been, worn and soiled, and our guys have just started putting on one coat of our dye, and already it's looking really good. But we did notice one little thing, and that's right here. So with this couch, this has actually been serviced before, or maybe refinished or fixed with other products on the internet. Of course, you can find a bunch of them where they're quicker drying, and they're and stuff like that. When you're talking about quick drying stuff, it usually doesn't last because of the fact that it dries quick. It dries sort of brittle, and if it dries brittle, that means it doesn't have very much bending and flexing capabilities. All of our products, they dry, they cure. It takes a little bit of time for them to dry and cure, and of course with that time creates strength and flexibility and everything that you need in good quality leather repair. But the reason why I'm doing this video is because we see a little area here. This actually was repaired by someone else before using a leather filler that is this quicker type of drying leather filler. So this is our leather repair filler. We know the performance of this, and we're going to show you that later. But we just wanted to show you this area. We're going to show you the strength of it, and also too, we did some actual panel replacement on this this furniture, because by the time we stripped down all of the the terrible areas, actually I'll show them to you right here. This was refinished by other people's products, okay? And I'm going to show you the difference between their products and our products. When you apply their products, it sort of looks good or whatever, but it dries quick and it dries brittle. And it also doesn't even have a sealer top coat, so you get a lot of matting of soil. See how it's really soiled in this area? And as you can see here, that's like alligator skin. Like, it just doesn't bend and flex. So what it does is wherever there's force, it sort of picks an area to hinge, and then you sort of get this scaling, okay? This, to me, right away, when you see this kind of finish, this type of product is not bending and flexing at the same rate as the leather, so it starts to sort of crack, and it just makes a mess of things. Here you can see that the leather had no choice but to hinge in this area because the rest of it was too stiff from these products. So you get this type of cracking, and by the time, again, people, we pick up their furniture, so it's all about value. What are we going to do? We're gonna strip all this down, we're gonna get it in order, and then we're gonna refinish it and stuff like that. No, the customer's a local customer, so we can actually replace these panels for him, and then of course refinish it to match the existing couch, and then he gets really good value for his money. Now, of course, if you're hours away from us, or thousands of miles away from us, or the other side of the world away from us, we're not going to replace the panels. You're going to have to do this yourself. So what you would do is you would first clean this with our cleaner. You would get yourself some rubbing alcohol or some type of product to try to remove this. Sometimes you need like a lacquer thinner or a paint remover to try to remove all this junk, basically. This is what we call it inside the shop. And then you're going to be left with an area like this. Now, see this area right here? The finish is just starting to break down, but there's a good amount of flexing and bending in this area, okay? Unlike this area, okay? It's nice and pliable, so now this can accept a filler, or this can accept our dyes, and you're gonna have something that lasts. But this is the kind of stuff that's out there on the internet. That's the cheaper stuff, and you can see the scaling and the cracking. It's just, it's just kind of nasty. You can see it here, okay? All cracking. See the way it cracks, okay? So we're going to take this away. Maybe we'll do a video of this thing later. We're actually going to, if this is something that you had in your house because someone came by your house and refinished it with improper supplies and everything like that, and you're left with this, and you don't want to buy new furniture, you want to fix that up. We're going to show you how to do that. We'll probably strip it down, we'll get it all nice and clean, and we'll put our filler in there, and we'll refinish it. It'll look beautiful, and it'll last. So we're going to take this away, and we're going to focus on this little repair here that we see. So we're going to look from underneath. We're going to see what we're dealing with here. See in there? So what they've done is they've just applied some kind of really like just a terrible foundation. It's just the worst type of cloth you could possibly use, because what happens, see the weave, well, through sitting and everything like that, the weave sort of loosens up, and then you lose your backing, you lose your foundation for the repair. So seems to be sticking to a certain degree, okay? But let's flip it back over and take a look here. So here it is here. So let's see the performance of this. As we said before, the majority of this stuff, it dries quicker, it dries brittle, there's no strength. So let's see the strength that's in it. Okay, we'll zoom in. And as you can see here, it's just lifting up and pretty much falling off. It's just like glue. I mean, if you were to basically put Elmer's wood glue in there or something like that, that's about the strength of it. And it's not bending and flexing with the leather. It's just like glue. You don't want that. It will fail. It will crack open. So what we want to do is just sort of pull that out and just get rid of that and clean this area up. So we want to get all of this scaling area off. So, you know, use your fingers or something like that to try to clean it up best possible. See how it's just coming off of the surface? So we want to get to a good clean foundation. And as you can see the rip there. Alright, so we're going to clean this up a little bit more, and then we're going to put our leather repair cloth underneath, of course, because the back rest is a movable area and you want the repair to move around and not to fail. So that's when you would use a leather repair cloth, and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we've cleaned this area up in the kit, the leather repair kit. If you have a rip or a tear or something like that, of course, you get the small leather repair filler. That's a 1 ounce filler. You get the nylon palette knife for application. You get some rubber gloves. You get some 800 grit sandpaper. You get the leather repair cloth, as you can see here. And of course, that's everything that comes in the kit with instructions. All right. So first things first, you can even, if you want, you know, we picked this away and made sure it was cleaned up really well. If you even want to, you can even get some of the 800 grit sandpaper and just lightly sand it down just to make sure it's good and clean and free of any sort of that leftover material or that substandard or sub-quality material filler. Well, it's basically sort of just a glue, a wood glue or something. They shouldn't even be calling it a filler. But anyways, it is what it is. So what we'll do is we're going to get our leather repair cloth, and we're just going to cut out a square about this big. That should do. Alright, that's good. You don't have to round, like some people, you know, they like to round the edges and all this stuff. You don't really need to do that, because this has really good flexibility. You're never going to see an edge if you were to repair anything. If you're using you know, thicker leather repair material, if there's edges, you're going to see it through behind the repair. But this has very good strength and it's extremely flexible, so you don't really need to do any of those rounded edges. So anyways, we're going to open up our filler. There it is right there. Nice consistency. As you can see, we're using the nylon palette knife. We're going to scoop some of that filler out. It's almost like the same consistency as like icing sugar on the cake. Very easy to work with. And you're just going to basically apply it to the cloth just like that. Okay. Whoops. Probably put a little bit too much on, no big deal. We'll just take some off. Alright, that's enough. You don't need a whole lot, just as long as it's sort of covered like that. Okay. So we're going to put this away for a minute, clean our area, and we're going to put it underneath. So we're going to open this up. I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing here. So this, of course, is removable, this cushion. Flip it inside out, and as you can see, where are we? right there. There's our hole. So we would have fed it in underneath, and you just basically get the patch that we just created, and you just stick it on there just like that. Simple. Now put it back together again. Okay, now we're working, of course, with the surface. There's the surface of the repair. And we're going to get a little bit more of the filler. Now, if you wanted to, you could sort of make sure that all the little tears of the repair are sort of all glued downward. Okay, like this. And you can let that cure and dry overnight, and then it's going to be fully strengthened. Or you can do, you know, one step that takes place of two. So right now, we're just going to fill that in right now. So instead of doing two steps, we're only going to do one step. So we're going to apply the filler in there like that. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm just sort of flattening it down to try to get a sort of a flat work area. If you want, you can put your hand underneath there for support or something like that. But basically, you're just going to lay the filler in there, just like that, right? And then just try to get it sort of flat like this. You can sort of pull it down, and then just sort of like pull it towards you, just like that. That's fine. You know, and take a look at it, and if you think you didn't do a very good job or you want to do a better job, you can just sort of poke it down, and then you can start again, and you can go like that. And as you can see, that's a nice flat repair. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that. But what I'm trying to get at is our filler is very easy to work with. If you want to sort of do it over and over again, or, you know, some people are very particular and want to get that perfect feathering and all that stuff, I mean, you can continue to do that. But to me, that's pretty good. If you see right here, actually, this is a nice little thing here for us to see. I'm going to show you what happens when, let's say, the lip of the rip. See right there how there's a high spot? Well, you can just push that down, because that's the lip of the rip coming to the surface. You don't want that. You actually want to fill it in. So we're going to put a little bit more filler over top of it, and we're just going to go like this. And there, that's perfect. Again, very easy to work with. If you want to, you know, try to get that perfect sort of job, I mean, you can do that. But I mean, this is all sort of filled in. We're going to let this dry overnight, and then I'm going to show you the performance and the flexibility of our filler. So we're going to let this cure overnight, and we'll be back. Okay, so we are back the next day. So this is pretty much cured 24 hours. You know, we did lay the filler in underneath fairly thick. And then we put another little skim coat on top. Now, as you can see, this is some people, they're very observant. They tell us, oh, when we put the filler on there, it actually was like a little bit of a different color, or like a pinky color. Well, what's happening is, since the raw hide was there, when you apply the filler to this area, since it's a water-based color, it actually extracted some of the pigment into the filler. But that's okay, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's a good observation, but that's all that's happening is the transfer of dye from the hide is going up into the filler, but it's not going to damage it at all or anything. There's a little discoloration, and when you apply the dyes over top, I mean, that'll all go away. You won't even see that. So here's the leather repair filler again. Let's check the performance of this repair. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, as you can see, we did a really nice job. What we did is we laid the filler in there just into the repair work. We didn't do a messy job or anything. There's no residual anywhere. Can you hear that? It's nice and smooth. We don't even need to sand this. It's beautiful. It's nice and smooth. Now if we put our hand, whoop, let me zoom it out a little bit. Now if we put our hand inside here, where are we? Here it is. Here's the repair. And look at this. Look at that bending. Look at that flexing of the repair. It's not cracking or anything. Let's try to zoom in for you. Whoop. Okay, here we go. Look at that. See the bending and the flexing? It's strong. and it's very flexible. It's reinforced. I'm rolling it with my fingers. Okay? If this was a substandard filler or a wood glue or a cheap filler that dries quickly, this would all nicely crack open on you. And you can see there's full flex there. It's reinforced from underneath, so you're not going to have any problems. So where do we go from here? Well, what we need to do, of course, is we need to color it over with our professional leather dyes. And this is a small 2-ounce bottle, and this is a light beige A color, which is the same color as this. And I'm going to show you what's in the kit. You would get the 2-ounce bottle of leather dye. You would get the one-time use cleaner, because this kit is actually made for like touch-ups. If you have little cat scratches or a seat cushion or maybe a car seat or something like that, you could probably bang it off with a small size kit, okay? So it'll do one cushion 2x2, or it might do an ottoman. You know, it depends. It depends on how faded your leather is, how worn your leather is. If it's not very faded, if it's not very worn, all the dye that you apply will lay on the surface, topical, okay? It'll lay on the surface, and you can apply thin coat after thin coat. But if you have a lot of wear, and if you have you know, a lot of fading, you're going to need maybe 2, 3, 4 coats depending on the amount of fading. Some people's couches are, you know, they're a tan color, and we see them and they're white. So if that's going to happen, you're going to probably need about 4 coats of dye. But anyways, like I said, you get the cleaner, the 2-ounce cleaner. You get the sealer, which is the protective top coat right here. Everything that comes in the kit is listed right there. You get the leather cleaning and dusting cloth. You get the sprayers. You get the lock top cap for the dye, rubber gloves, sandpaper, applicator sponges, and full instructions. Everything's right there. So this is a leather dye repair kit that repairs the finish on a couch. And then, of course, if you have any cracking or rips or tears, then you would order our filler kit, which is an add-on, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a sponge. We're going to shake up the dye, do a good job shaking it up. There's a glass bead inside, and we're going to apply it to the sponge, just like that. Okay, just a little bit on the sponge, and now we're going to put it on the area that we repaired. And you can just put on a thin coat first, because what's going to happen is the thin coat is going to sink into the filler, and it's basically going to, excuse me, it's going to close all the open cells in the filler. When you have a filler, it has to have open cells to be painted. So it has to have an open cell inside the fibers to sort of grab onto the paint. If you have closed cells like silicones or different DAP products and all that stuff, you can't really paint over those things. Okay, so now with the first foundational coat, we sort of close those cells. And now we're going to put another coat on there so you can still see it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply the dyes a little bit thicker, and that's by dabbing it on just like this. And then of course we're going to dry it up. We always recommend you use a hair dryer. A hair dryer will not burn the leather. Okay, so there's one coat. Let's put another coat on there, because sometimes when you're talking about, you know, hiding the filler, it may, depending, like all different colors have all different covering capabilities and characteristics. So the filler usually needs anywhere from 2 to 4 coats of dye depending on what color you have. I mean, black and browns have very good coverage. The lighter colors have pretty good coverage too. Red's terrible because it's a translucent sort of color. So if you wanted to you know, cover white filler on a red couch, that can be a little bit problematic. You can do it, but it might take you 4 or 5 coats because the characteristics of red just are translucent. Okay, Each coat that you put on with red will give a deeper and darker color. If you were to get red dye or red paint and build up 1,000 coats of red paint or red dye, it'll look black because each coat richens the next coat. It's not like something like this or like brown or you know, where you apply 100 coats and it's still the same color. It's not opaque like that. It's a translucent type of dye. So looking at this, you know, it's looking pretty good. I can't even see where the filler was, which is a good thing. That's what you want. Yeah, it looks good to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to dry this up and then we're going to seal it and we'll be finished. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, so we're back. We're going to protect this area. You're going to protect it with our professional leather sealer. This is the 2-ounce bottle that comes in your small kit. You're going to put the sprayer on it. You're going to spray it onto a sponge evenly, and you're basically just going to wipe it in just like this. Now we've put a protective top coat on it, and we're going to dry it up, and it's going to have that new shine. It's going to be fully protected, okay? Takes a little while for it to dry. If it air dries, you know, depending on how thick you put it on there or something like that, you know, it might take 20 minutes or something. If you do it with a hair dryer, it'll be a little bit quicker. Okay, also too, if you lay on the sealer really glossy and wet, it'll have a really nice shine. But if you wipe it on thin and you keep wiping it, you're going to mat it down. So if we feel this area now, of course, it feels like brand new leather, and that's fully repaired. It looks really nice, okay? You can see, maybe you can kind of still see it, I don't know. Now, to take care of your leather, we recommend, of course, our larger 22-ounce cleaner and protection kit for future care and maintenance. You never want to put any oils or waxes or creams or cleaners, or this is what you want. You want the 22-ounce cleaner to last you years. You basically spray it on your cleaning and dusting cloth. You wet dust your furniture every 3 to 4 weeks. Every 8 to 12 months, depending on use, you spray a new protector on a sponge, you wipe down your whole couch. It's going to look like new for a long, long time. You can find this and many other products at leathertouchupdye.com. Oh, and we have some bonus footage for you. As you can see, right there is the area that was repaired, and you can see full flex from our dyes. Lots of full flex. The difference between professional leather dyes and all the rest are they bend and flex at the same rate as the leather. The filler bends and flexes at the same rate as the leather, and you're never going to have an issue. It's going to last for a long, long time. So again, this was our leather repair filler and our leather dye repair kit. It does a really nice job. There was a hole right there, and as you can see, there's nothing now. To order this and many other fine leather products, go to leathertouchupdye.com.